In the quiet farmlands of Western Canada, where the wind moves softly through endless fields and life usually follows a slow, predictable rhythm, a horrifying secret lay hidden beneath the ground for years. It wasn't buried in a grave. It wasn't locked away in a cellar. It was submerged in darkness, inside an abandoned septic tank on a forgotten farm. This is the chilling story of the unidentified man once known only as Septic Tank Sam. In April 1977, near the small community of Tofield in Alberta, a local farming couple made a decision that would haunt the area for decades. They owned an old, abandoned farm property nearby. Instead of purchasing a new pump for their septic system, they thought it would be practical to remove the pump from the unused septic tank on that abandoned land. It seemed like a simple, cost-saving choice. But when they opened the tank, they didn't find old waste or rusted machinery. They found a human body. The remains were submerged inside the septic tank, concealed in darkness and decay. Authorities were immediately called. The quiet countryside was suddenly transformed into the center of one of Canada's most disturbing unsolved cases. Investigators quickly realized this was no accidental death. The victim, a young male, had been brutally tortured. He had been beaten severely. Evidence showed that he had suffered prolonged abuse before his death. After enduring horrific injuries, he was ultimately shot. The body was then disposed of inside the septic tank, likely in an attempt to erase all evidence. The location was remote. The farm was abandoned. Whoever committed the crime believed this secret would never surface. For decades, they were almost right. At the time of discovery, investigators estimated the victim to be between 15 and 26 years old. He was believed to have died months before his body was found. However, identifying him proved extremely difficult. The septic tank environment had destroyed much forensic evidence. There were no missing persons reports that immediately matched his description. No wallet. No identification. No obvious clues. With no name to give him, locals and media began referring to him as Septic Tank Sam. It was a nickname born out of necessity, but it reduced a human life to the location of his disposal. For over 40 years, that was all the world knew him by. Years passed. Investigators pursued leads, but the trail had grown cold almost instantly. The rural setting, the lack of witnesses, and the absence of advanced forensic technology in the 1970s made the case incredibly difficult. DNA technology was still in its infancy at the time. Many modern forensic tools simply did not exist. The file remained open, but unanswered. Families of missing persons wondered quietly. Could it be their son? Their brother? Their friend? But without confirmation, the mystery remained suspended in time. Everything changed decades later. In the 2010s, advancements in forensic genealogy began reshaping cold cases across North America. Investigators began revisiting unidentified remains with modern DNA techniques. The remains of Septic Tank Sam were re-examined. Forensic experts extracted usable DNA and compared it against genealogical databases. Finally, in 2021, after 44 years without a name, the victim was identified as Gordon Edwin Sanderson. He was originally from Manitoba and was only 26 years old at the time of his death. After decades of being known by a grim nickname, he finally regained his identity. He was not Septic Tank Sam. He was Gordon. When his name was announced, it brought mixed emotions. On one hand, there was relief. A human being had been restored his dignity. He was no longer an anonymous victim. On the other hand, it reopened wounds. If Gordon had family members still alive, they now faced the painful confirmation of what had happened. The identification proved that science can restore names, but it cannot undo the violence. Despite identifying Gordon Sanderson, the person or people responsible for his torture and murder have never been officially charged. Authorities believe he may have been targeted after arriving in Alberta for seasonal or temporary work. Some theories suggest he may have encountered dangerous individuals shortly after arriving. But theories are not proof. The brutality of the crime suggests anger, cruelty, or possibly a personal connection, yet no clear suspect has publicly emerged. The septic tank was chosen deliberately. It was remote, concealed, effective. This was not random disposal. It was calculated.